Having grown up in Mamelodi and he was born in Transkei, he went to school in Pietersburg. Yonela Mnana's travels across the country have added a richness to his life and career, and these have proven invaluable in his craft. The blind pianist has played alongside jazz greats such as Zim Ngqawana, Wyatt, Feya Faku, and many others. And he's recently released his album Baba and joins us on the show to talk about his musical journey and also about what one can experience through his latest album. It is now available in stores, and we will be talking about that in a moment. Yonela,
yeah, well,
pleasure to have you with us here in the studio, and I appreciate.
I'm very glad.
And thank you very much for coming around and spending time with us. And music, your thing, piano, always your preferred instrument, or is this something that you preferred as you grew up and went along in your development?
Well, I mean, they say the piano is the mother of all instruments.
Yeah.
It just happened that, I think I like the harmony, actually, of the piano. With many other instruments, they get to play maybe a single note at a time. So, I mean, we are communal people, I think, as black people. So it's nice to be able to capture all the voices at the same time. So that's one of the attractive things. And I mean, it's very interesting, actually, as a vocalist initially, that normally one would have to depend on somebody else to be able to accompany. So at least that gives me a leeway to be able to play and to be able to sing at the same time. I think one can only maximize oneself through that kind of instrument.
But the need, I mean, which is always a great thing, to be formally trained in something, right? And in your case, going to university to study music, was it something that you knew when you were a child that you wanted to do?
No, actually, I think at home they've always really dissuaded me from that thing. I mean, we know in the black society, being an artist has always been something that has been very much discouraged. I mean, one can also look across the Atlantic. That's something that happened also with Black American music, with jazz specifically. It's always been associated with nice times, with the bad stuff, actually. So I've always flirted with music all the time, but they've always advised me to do otherwise. I suppose that's one of the other things that led me to actually pursue music as a form of art and as part of my life.
But Yonela, many people, we all love music, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
not all of us are talented or gifted in it. And that's where music is unfair, actually. I don't know why we like it. We should not like it. Because
No, actually, I think we've got different roles. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I think we have different roles because also music will be very, very much meaningless if there's players and there's no listener as well. I mean, it's like being an actor and there's no viewer at the same time.
I accept that. But here's the point. Many people who love music wish they could play it, you see.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. And you can tell this by the number of people who go to idols and want to participate in idols.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
and many people actually in churches and all those kinds of events.
And interestingly, in churches, events, funerals, and so on, when people sing together, actually they do produce great music.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Music has been taken from the people and has been made more commercialized in a way and concentrated around a single person. I mean, it's a Western ideology. I think for us, music has always been a communal act, and I think as I do my music, I try to capture that kind of resilience of South Africans in using music as a way of expressing themselves, whether they're protesting or whether they're crying or married or whatever. So it's a privilege that I find that I have been placed at, and I'm trying to maximize it through my album as well.
Now, let's talk about your own career. And, as you grew up in Mamelodi, and if that had any influence on your musicality, and also studying in Polokwane, of course, and going to varsity ultimately. Which era of your life would you say had the most impact or biggest influence on your musical direction and interest?
I think it's my teens. Although I accept that my musicality has always been more of a cumulative an accumulative exercise, because I mean I actually like am influenced by the stuff that I grew up listening to. But I find that during my teens, I was very much lucky to be at a place where there was musical tutelage that came as an extramural activity. So I think I was around standard 8, 9. And I should, then we were doing music as an extramural activity, and that has helped us because there was not much formality, but they gave us access to the instrument. So we kind of, would go and try and workshop Luther Vandross's songs and do wedding songs on a Saturday. And I remember actually we were very much competitive. We would even run during our lunch, not completing our lunch to try and get to the instrument.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So I think my teens has been very much, I mean, that's the time when there was a high amount of energy. And it has helped me actually to, by matric, I realized that I have to do this thing, because even when when the teachers would just go on and one's mind would just go away, I think it was kind of a place of solace, so to speak.
So now, playing with established musicians down the line, I've mentioned some of them, Zim Ngqawanas and so on. How was that experience like?
It's always humbling. I find that it's kind of like the handing over of a baton, because, I mean, we are blessed to be able to stand on the shoulders of the masters to say that we don't just do something of nowhere. And it's beautiful to also continue on that legacy of jazz specifically and soul music in particular. People like Zim have taken it from the likes of your Abdullah Ibrahim and Chris McGregor and them. And that's something that I'm really quite blessed to be able to have. I mean, to have the likes of your Feya Faku. It's very humbling, or even Brahebi.
But now, I'm pleased that you've got your new album. I see you have it there with you. Let me take a look. Right, yes. Baba. And now you're telling us you've arrived, Yonela. I suppose that's your way to say, look, I appreciate the Giants gave me the chance to play with them and learn all the intricacies of making music and so forth. But you are spreading yourself out now.
Yeah, I think it's a logical process. Somehow a little bit. Somehow I feel that it's slightly overdue, but yeah, I think I did most of my dues. I did the whole jazz circuit, and yeah, Baba is an album that came out that actually encapsulates my feelings over all the music that I've been listening to. I mean, I studied jazz at school. At Wyatt University as well. But I mean, I've been listening to as I was saying, your Luther Vandross, and we still have the soul, the South African soulful gospel singing that we have here. So that album captures the whole thing, and it surrounds itself over the title Ubaba.
Exactly. Yeah, and I noticed and I heard you love the likes of Donny Hathaway.
Oh, yes.
Stevie Wonder has got to be there, I suppose.
Those are the masters.
Yes.
Those are the masters.
Yeah.
It's got to be like that.
Yeah.
I think that there's nothing more than those guys. I find that they've managed to, as I was saying before, to capture the soulfulness and the resilience that black people have from antiquity and up to now. I just find that actually our ideology is not necessarily to try and find authentic things about ourselves, but it's in the way we manage to deal with new material, how black people deal with foreign instruments and they capture them. And I would like to associate myself with those kinds of people.
Which musician would you say is your greatest inspiration? Who's your greatest inspiration?
Well, I think just now we just mentioned Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
There's so many, man. I think music is almost like food. It's hard to pick a favorite dish, but at least there's several that come. I mean, Steve Kekana, I've had the privilege of actually meeting Steve and even Babsi. And I'm really proud to be able to to take over also from them, and to, it's very humbling, but it can be quite intimidating, because those guys, they left a big imprint on people's hearts.
Yeah, well, every time I listen to Stevie's Love is in Need of Love today.
Oh, yeah.
I know it comes from the early 70s, right? But it sounds like something that was released only last week or 2 weeks ago. It's always,
that's a very interesting thing about the music from Motown.
Yes.
And that's something that also I hear the same thing when I listen to, for example, the likes of Mparanyan.
Yes.
I find that they have actually not been necessarily copying that, but there was kind of a transatlantic paralleling of artistic expression. So it's amazing, actually, that the music was timeless. That was the music of the 60s when black people were being very, very, very conscious of themselves, initially in America with the civil rights, and now with the 76. And I mean, I'm wanting to suggest that perhaps the contemporary jazz musicians like us will be able to have the same imprint in these times of turmoil, with the whole Fees Must Fall movement and everything. And I suppose that
I must tell the students at your alma mater at Wits to go out and buy your new album. Yonela Mnana's Baba is out. Yeah. Whilst you're busy with Fees Must Fall, in the meantime, listen to the music of one of the former students at Wits University. Yonela,
yes,
I wish you everything of the best, and I appreciate that you've made time to come and spend it with us here on the show. We appreciate it very much.
I'm glad, I'm humbled that I finally am shaking the head of the voice that I've always been listening to the whole time in the morning. Man. It's always been in the morning.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks, brother.
Much appreciated, Yonela. And I hope one day we'll find time to enjoy the music instead of talking about it, right?
No, I hope you find time to listen to that one.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to put it in the car today already.
All right.
Okay.
All right. On repeat.
That's the new album, Yonela Mnana. Get it? It's titled Baba. And I hope you enjoyed our interview and tonight's program. We invite you to be with us again next time. Please check us on Facebook, like us there. Share your thoughts on Twitter at Tim Modise. Write to us tonight at modise.tv. From us, good night to you.
Andifuni wazi, ndivuya xa ndinawe. Ungabanjani na asefume nomye, andifuni wazi, ngoba ndivuya xa ndinawe.